we survived Monday. And this is the third of the 3-part series of Passover in the pandemic, and is how to make Seder happen, how to make Pesach happen in a way that is, authentic and accurate and halachic and whatever, and also, with the reality on the ground of our lives currently, which everything is super interesting. Every week, things change. Things are in the store, things aren't in the store. So let's dive in. This is going to be divided into 2 parts. The first part is going to be, because I know I've been promising this for a little while, is going to be how to include other people in your Seder, and how to include yourself and other people's Seders, whether you've got a family and you want to figure out how to get your kids and grandkids and grandparents, everybody together, or if you're just, flying solo this year, how to kind of make that happen. And that'll be kind of the shorter first part of this. And then the second part is going to be questions, because I've gotten lots of questions on quinoa, lots of questions on quinoa. That's stuff that isn't chametz, but people treat like chametz. Questions on what to do about your pets, more questions about alcohol, the important stuff. I'm glad to know people are prioritizing the important things. Questions about fake pasta, questions about gebrochts, which is a whole thing we haven't even covered yet, and I'm shocked because I just think it's such an interesting concept. So that'll be the questions for the second part. And if you think of any questions while I'm talking, or there's something you've been saving up, or you've always wanted to know about Pesach in general, or the Seder specifically, you can write it in the comments on the Facebook Live. It's being moderated by someone who is not me, and they will let me know. You can write it in on Zoom if you are on Zoom. You can text me directly. You can Facebook message me directly. That's probably the best ways if you want to ask a question in real time, and I will do my darndest to answer it in real time as well, because we've gotten some good questions. As promised, the first part. How do you include other people, family, non-family, whatever, in your Seder? Just as a fun fact, because again, things keep changing all the time, I would like to point out that the OU, Orthodox Union, basically people who make all of your food stamped kosher, more or less, and the RCA, which is the Rabbinic Council of America, which is just a huge body of Orthodox rabbis. We're fucking Orthodox rabbis. They reissued basically a statement reminding everybody that no one should travel to someone else's house for the Seder. And they mentioned even if it's your family and they live in the same city that you do, the OU, Orthodox, and the RCA, Orthodox. So huge imperative to follow the laws and to keep the customs, because there's no law saying you have to be with your grandparents on Pesach, but it is a custom most people like to keep. Even the Orthodox are saying, and if the Orthodox are saying it, how much more so the rest of us? Stay in your home with your people. The Orthodox are saying it. And they even say, remind you, in the same notice, I saw this from a friend and colleague of mine who's an Orthodox rabbi, reminding people that having a minyan, whether you're indoors or outdoors, is also not allowed right now. Don't gather for Seder, don't gather for minyan. And these are people who really have that in very high regard. And they're saying don't do it. And if they're saying don't do it, I've never done this in my life. Can't imagine circumstances when I would do this at any point. But here I am standing with the OU and the RCA to say, stay home. It's because it keeps people's lives from being endangered. So as much as it stinks, and it does stink, I'm sorry. Yes, Adam said it's a matter of pikuach nefesh, it's a matter of saving lives. It is a matter of saving lives to stay home. And does that mean that it's going to feel good? No, it stinks to be by yourself for these huge periods of time. It's isolating, I agree. But rather be a little bit by yourself than by yourself forever, in the sense that you wouldn't be around anymore. So stay home, stay with the folks in your house, and how to bring them into your house in a non-difficult or bad for your health way. There's a lot of stuff on the internet right now, and I don't feel the urge to rehash what I'm sure you could just Google. So I want to just kind of cover 2 aspects of how to bring other people into your home for the Seder, and how to bring yourself to your loved ones' homes. First, I'm going to talk about the non-techie ways, because I know there's a lot of talk about technology and what are we using and how are we going to connect on technology. There's a lot of stuff about that, but I kind of want to talk about the non-techie ways, because not everybody's going to use electricity on Shabbat. Not everyone's going to be Skyping or FaceTiming or emailing or whatever on Shabbat. So there's that aspect, first of all. And the fact that not everyone is comfortable just with using technology on any day of the week, not just, Chag, because they're just not techie folks. And third, I think there's something nice to have something tangible in your life. So non-techie ways to bring Pesach into your home and your Pesach into other people's homes. One, the foods. There's just foods that, my grandmother makes the absolute best matzo ball soup. And we always go to her house for Seder. My kids love to have a matzo ball soup. We're going to do this year. Make the matzo ball soup. This is something that haven't happened on Seder. I'm talking about before or during Pesach, whatever. Make the matzo ball soup. Get all the stuff. And set up your phone or your iPad or whatever in the kitchen and Skype or FaceTime or Duo or whatever you have to talk to grandma and have grandma walk you through the steps and tell you, oh yeah, no, that's too much of this thing. Oh, that's just how I do. This is how I roll just like that. That's how the matzo balls are made. The way she can be a part of your kids' Pesach experience without having to physically be there. If Zadie always makes matzo brie and it's the best darn matzo brie in the world, have Zadie make matzo brie and have you be with your kids making matzo brie, and you guys can watch each other and give each other tips and talk and hang out and share food without actually physically hanging out and sharing food. Same thing with, art projects. This is great if you've got someone who's really good with calligraphy or good at handwriting, or kids who are not very good at handwriting at all, but they could decorate name tags. You could draw them out, or placemats, or Seder plate decorations, or all sorts of fun stuff. And it'll also occupy your kids for a good little bit of time, which is nice. I wish my kid could be occupied with a box of crayons, but he's 12 months old. So we're not there yet. But if your kids can do that, have them decorate all sorts of fun stuff and snap a photo, send it to the grandparents. Or package it up, let it sit, if you want to, your mileage may vary, quarantine it for a little while, and send it to the grandparents or drop it off on their doorstep. And after it's waited for a while, so any little germs in there that could possibly be there could die. And then they can actually have the decorations or the place cards or the placemats or whatever. They could actually use it in their home. Or grandma could decorate name tags for everybody, or for place cards for the table, and you could have that in your home. So you have something tangible that reminds you of these people that you love, and they'll have something that reminds them of you. And I think it's great to have a visceral, in the sense of like a physical sensory experience. It's a tough thing about all this digital that we have right now, is that we don't get the face-to-face, which means you also don't get to, smell the smells and taste the tastes and feel the tactile stuff. So I think this helps to kind of compensate for that lack of the experience of being in the kitchen when grandma's making neidelech or whatever your grandma makes. So, cook the stuff over FaceTime or video chat or whatever, or do the art projects and send them to each other, digitally or physically. It's a nice non-techie way to kind of bring Seder and Pesach into each other's homes and feel a little bit closer. And tech stuff, again, you can look online for, how to do a Zoom Seder. Obviously, you can do a Zoom or a Skype or FaceTime or Duo or Hangouts, whatever your platform is, Seder. I just have some tips from someone who clearly works on internet stuff a little bit. First of all, you cannot sing simultaneously. There's a latency period. Like, I'm talking right now and you're hearing it almost as I'm saying it, but not quite, because it takes seconds for my words to go, up to the satellites or whatever, and then come back down to hear you. So practically speaking, it doesn't really matter so much because you're just hearing what I'm saying. But if we wanted to sing Dayenu together, there would be a couple seconds lag. And it would sound awful of all of us trying to sing together. So if you're doing a Seder with loved ones, mute everybody except for the person who's leading that song or prayer or whatever. That way everyone can sing together but you don't have this couple seconds lag, which really throws the whole thing off. And take that from me, both as someone who has lots of friends who are Jewish musician professionals and have been posting about this and talking about this for a couple weeks now, and as someone who has literally already led several mock Seders on Zoom, and I've had the experience. Mute everybody except for the person who's leading if you're going to sing together. Otherwise, it is a mess. And let's skip that stuff. And you could also not do the whole thing on Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. It's a lot, you know, it can be a lot. And it's a lot of technology, especially if you've never done this before. So maybe just FaceTime for the meal. And everyone's just kind of, it's more relaxed. You're not trying to get through like a book or a script or anything like that. You know, you're just with your family, you're chatting, you're eating. The kids can stick around as long as they have the patience for it. And then when they're done, they can exit the stage left. And you can also, you know, the Seder order is actually very basic and simple, and you can really mix it up a lot. You know, you got to have your 2 glasses of wine, say some blessings, like over all the food stuff. You have a meal, 2 blessings, like 2 more glasses of wine, a couple blessings in between them, and that's a Seder. So if you need to mix up the order a little bit and have everybody just end at a certain point and then, you know, go off and do whatever parts of the Seder they want to do on their own, that might be a better thing. The way everyone's together for the dipping of the karpas and eating the maror and it might be a little bit easier to manage than an entire Seder on Zoom. You don't have to do the whole Seder on Zoom this year or on Skype or FaceTime or whatever it is you use. Maybe you just want to be together for the songs at the end. Maybe you guys always sing Chad Gad Ya. You know, maybe just be together for the songs at the end, or just be together for the brachot in the beginning. Mix it up. All you have to do, according to the Torah, all you really have to do is tell the story and eat the matzah. That's what you have to do for your Seder. And, you know, do a Pesach sacrifice, which we don't do anymore. It's only chametz. Torah-edically, that's all you have to do. There's some other rabbinic stuff. But even then, the order is not so important, especially this year. So that is all I want to cover for how to make your Seder accessible to others and how to make yourself accessible to other people's Seders and kind of meld the 2 or multiple worlds that you live in, especially on Seder, because I know it's such a time when people are together and it's really hard this year. So if you have any questions about Seder, making it more open to others, using technology or not using technology, please ask me and I'm happy to address that. Otherwise, I'm going to jump into questions and answers, questions that I've already gotten and I've prepared answers for. And if you have any questions, please let me know. So, question. I have a dog whose food has chametz in it. I usually just feed him like usual, but is there a way to do it that's kosher? Pets. Oh, pets. I also have a dog. I've always had dogs. There are 3, I would say, ways to kind of feed your pet. That is, I'll give them to you kind of in order from like the most difficult to the easiest. And these are all fine and they're all kosher and they're all halachically permissible by Jewish law. It's fine. But there's some issues with chametz. But there's some fun little end runs you could do around it. There's an issue with chametz that you cannot own chametz on Pesach. You cannot eat chametz on Pesach. Obviously, we know that one. And you can't benefit from chametz on Pesach. That is a very annoying one because you might say, okay, I'm not going to eat it and I'm not going to own any of it. Go do mechira chametz. But derive benefit. If you feed a pet chametz, you're deriving benefit. So you can't feed your pet chametz on Pesach. So how do we deal with this? The most difficult and annoying way, I would say, is you could make your pet's food yourself. I mean, I've done that when, you know, I brought my dog to the vet and they're like, oh, give him rice and chicken for like 3 days. I'm like, oh, do I like feed my dog kosher chicken? Do I have to go out and buy a pan and stuff to make treif chicken in my house? And that would just feel weird too. So my dog's had a surprising lot of kosher chicken. He doesn't appreciate it. So yeah, you could make your own pet food on Pesach that is chametz free. That would be a way to do it. Most difficult, totally possible. Middle way is you can feed your pet grain-free food. Now, there's a lot of grain-free foods now in the marketplace. Now, you might ask, okay, Rabbi, so I feed my pet grain-free food. Great. So then he's not going to eat, my dog, cat, whatever, is not going to eat chametz, but I'm still feeding my dog treif because it's not kosher. Deriving benefit from eating treif, right? You are. And here's the interesting thing. The restrictions on chametz are actually like really, really strict, like more strict than they are on non-kosher meat. In fact, you cannot derive benefit from chametz, meaning you can't even feed it to your animals, including your pets, because you would be benefiting because your pet would be eating chametz. So you can't feed your pet chametz. Non-kosher meat, you're not allowed to eat it, but you are allowed to derive benefit from it. You might think like, oh, that's weird. You know, how do you derive benefit from meat? By it's eating it. The whole point is to eat it. Well, not if what you're doing is giving it to your animal. So I can feed my dog grain-free food that has, you know, it's made with treif, non-kosher meat, and that's actually fine. On Pesach, I just can't feed him stuff with chametz in it. And the easiest way I would say, you know, especially if you don't already feed your pet grain-free food, I'm gonna like mess those words up, so I'm going very slowly. Grain-free food is to do mechirat chametz, which is a super fun halachic kind of loophole. I like loopholes though. People like to, you know, oh, loopholes and Jewish law. So it shows how dumb the whole system is because there's loopholes. But I think the loopholes are great. It shows that we want our halachic system to work practically in our lives. We want to hold on to the system. We also want to say this is something that needs to be livable. So this is not like a crazy conservative Jewish thing we did to get around. No, mechirat chametz it predates these denominations. Chametz in your house before Pesach, you can either eat it all, you can throw it in the garbage, you can donate it, or you can sell it because you can't have it. Remember, we just talked about the pet food thing. You can't own, you can't possess chametz on Pesach. You can't own it, can't possess it. Even if you're not eating it, you can't have it. So you can eat it, you can throw it away, you can donate it, you can sell it, or you can sell it to a non-Jew. And there's lots of places you can do this online. It's all online, of course, this year. And you can do it, you know, Beth Yeshurun, you can do it through us on our website. You really should go and do that like today, just as like an FYI, just to make sure you don't do it too late, like tomorrow, because you can't really own chametz past like midday tomorrow. So I would say do it tonight. It will take effect at the correct time. It won't take effect now, but like fill out the stuff now. Fill out the forms. You can go online and do it with Beth Yeshurun, betheshurun.org, BETHYESHURUN.org, or you can Google it. There's like a million places you can do it. It doesn't cost money. It is traditional to donate a little bit. It's also traditional to donate money in general before Pesach. And it's good in general to donate money. Anyway, you sell it to a non-Jew. You list everywhere you might possess chametz. So you say, you know, like my house, my car, my office, my kids' locker at school, any place you might get. Jennifer points out there's a link to sell it. It's in our Facebook feed. So if you just want to take care of that real quick after I'm done talking, or now, I'm easy. You can just do that really, really quick. Anybody can do it. You don't have to be like a Beth Yeshurun member to sell your chametz. So you list every single place. And a non-Jewish person, remember, because a Jewish person can't buy or possess your chametz. And even if that person like says, you know, oh, I don't really do that stuff anyway. I don't keep those rules. Okay, you can choose not to keep the rules, but they still apply to you. You know, like I could like jaywalk and a cop could stop and give me a ticket. And I can't be like, yeah, oh no, I know. But like I don't really do the whole like, don't jaywalk, it's illegal thing. It's like it's just jaywalking. So like they'd be like, that's nice. Here's your ticket for jaywalking. You still have to, you know, the rules still apply to you even if you don't choose to follow them. Just to be a real rabbi for a second. So you have to sell your chametz to a non-Jew. So a non-Jewish person buys like tons and tons of chametz, and for a token amount. A token, usually you use an object often. And then after Pesach is over, they sell it back. So nothing ever moves out of your house. You don't actually have to like take all of your chametz elsewhere. You just sell it. And you say, oh yeah, so, I guess theoretically, someone could come to your house and be like, I'm here to collect all that chametz you sold in your car and your kid's backpack at school and in your house and in your boat and in your RV and I don't know, wherever you might stash your chametz. It's not gonna functionally, that's not gonna happen. So you sell it, you say, all this chametz belongs to this random non-Jewish person that I do not even know. And then they sell it back to you magically once Pesach is over. And all you have to do is get all your chametz kind of like out of eyesight. You're not really even supposed to even like see chametz. It's not on purpose, not your chametz. It's not your chametz anymore. So you just need to basically take all your pantry stuff, put it in like bags or a high shelf, scoot it out of the way. Fridge stuff, paper over part of your fridge, put it over there, put it in a basket, put it in the corner of the fridge, freezer, same deal. It's great if you have like two freezers. It's a good time to kind of maybe designate one or the other. And so the pets thing, the easiest way I would say to deal with the whole pets and the chametz situation, especially if you have a pet whose food can't be grain-free, like some lizards and birds and all sorts of things that my mother would have never let me have as a kid. Those kinds of pets, I think sometimes they're made you can't find, like a wheat-free, I don't know, lizard food or fish food or what, I don't know. I've only ever had dogs. So when you're listing your stuff that you're selling, my house, my cars, my office, my kid's locker at school, you sell your pet. Now, you're not actually selling your pet. You say, I'm selling my dog and everything that has to do with him. So when you feed your dog, if you want to be really stringent, you could feed them in another room so it's not even in like your house. You do it like maybe the patio or backyard or garage or something like that you could do. And you're feeding them, you're not feeding your dog. And you're not feeding them your food. And you are not deriving any benefit from chametz because a little halachic end run with the mechirat chametz, you are selling your chametz. Sell. And that is 100% halachic, completely in alignment with Jewish law. And is it an end run? Kind of, but I don't know. I like it. I like halacha. I'm kind of a nerd like that. Other questions, more alcohol questions. This one was fun. So we talked last time about sake and how you can't drink sake on Pesach, even though it's made from rice. And even if you say, okay, rice is quinoa, so it's not chametz, chametz being the 5 grains you can't eat. Once more for the folks in the back, wheat, barley, oats, spelt, rye. Rice is not one of those. Rice is quinoa, which is something that was invented as a sort of forbidden category a couple hundred years ago, several hundred years ago, but not thousands or anything. So rice is fine, but you can't have sake. Why can't you have sake? Because sake is not just made with rice. It's also made with yeast. And sometimes that yeast is derived from chametz. So I got a question about cider, because this isn't like a written question. They're asking me like, oh, I buy hard cider because I'm gluten-free and I know it has no gluten in it and it's just made from apples. So can I have hard cider on Pesach? It's the same problem as it is with the sake. So yes, it is gluten-free and there is no actual chametz the way there is for, whiskey or beer or that kind of a thing. But the yeast, cider is made with yeast as well. And sometimes it's brewer's yeast, which is generally okay. Sometimes it's yeast derived from wine, which also if you only drink hechshered wine, not kosher, I didn't say kosher, mind you, but if you only drink hechshered wine, so stamped kosher, you actually would have an issue because it's yeast derived from wine. I would argue you actually would be okay on that count, on the wine count, because I think there's a differentiation between kosher wine and hechshered wine, but that's a whole other lunch and learn because it gets very halakhically gritty, nitty gritty, and fun, interesting. I like it. I touched my face. Sorry. So yeah, there's yeast added to cider, and sometimes it's yeast that is derived from chametz, and you just wouldn't know. So I would say that you cannot have it unless you make it yourself. If you brew your own and you know exactly where that yeast is from, then fine. But otherwise, I would say you probably can't. So stick to wine, stick to potato vodka or like 100% agave, like the Aneos, those kinds of tequila. Sugarcane vodka is fine. There's another one. Blanking on. Corn vodka. Smirnoffs are generally corn derived. Yeah. So, sorry. I like a good hard cider too, and it's just not happening. Speaking of quinoa, I have so many questions after. Is this quinoa? So, quick. Soy. Is soy quinoa? Yes, soy is quinoa. Soy is not chametz. Can you have soy? Yes, soy is kosher on Pesach. If you don't eat quinoa, then obviously you wouldn't. Soy is fine in all its forms. You have soy, beans, edamame. You could eat, if you eat quinoa. You could have tofu. You cannot have soy sauce. And this is a very annoying one, and I'm very sorry, but soy sauce is like straight up just made of wheat. I don't know why, but it is. If you really are kind of craving soy sauce and you just are like, oh, I'm going to have rice, I'm going to have sushi on Pesach, you should do it. If you could get a gluten-free tamari, then could be safe. That would be safe. And if you have questions about that, I would consult the Sephardi lists, which we've posted on here before, and you can find them on our website. And yeah, the gluten-free tamari, but not soy sauce, I'm afraid. I got the question last time, is corn quinoa? Yes, corn is quinoa. No, corn is not chametz. So that's why we have like Passover Coke. You ever wonder why? First of all, why do we need Passover Coke? Second of all, why is Passover Coke so delicious? Well, we don't need Passover Coke actually at all, because the issue with Coca-Cola in general is that it's made with corn syrup. Corn syrup is derived from corn. Corn is quinoa. Plenty of Ashkenazim don't eat quinoa, even though they are not chametz. So we get Passover Coke. Why is it so delicious? Because it's made with sugar. So good. So much better. I buy Passover Coke and I eat quinoa because it is really, really good. That being said, you could also have like a Mexican Coke, like Mexicoke, which is also made with sugar. And it is a little bit pricier, but it's really good because it's made with sugar and not with corn. There are also those people who don't eat quinoa. They don't eat the full, anything with beans, rice, corn. Those are the kind of big ones that are going to come to mind. But they won't eat them in their full form, but they will eat derivatives, meaning they won't eat corn because corn is quinoa, but they will eat things made with, for example, corn syrup, cornstarch. So if you eat quinoa, if you don't eat quinoa generally, and you still want to not eat quinoa, I would recommend maybe going anybody, but you also want to be a little bit more lenient with yourself this year because this year is crazy. Maybe give yourself the leniency to eat derivatives of quinoa. Just yeah, this question. There's two of us in the house. We're a couple. One follows one rule with quinoa. One follows another rule with quinoa. Who do we follow? Well, the kind of classic way of looking at it, in the sense that if you were asking for kind of an orthodox point of view, it would be for a married couple, you follow the man. So it also assumes that you're a man and a woman, and you're married, so you follow the man. And so if that means that you're eating quinoa this year, it means you're eating quinoa this year. If it means that means you're not eating quinoa this year, then you're not eating. Whether that means it's more strict or less strict, you follow whatever the man does. If you're Orthodox, I'm not Orthodox. Clearly, the whole woman rabbi thing. So I would say the halachic answer to that would be, for non-halachic issues, meaning not, I keep Passover, but the person I'm married to or the person I'm living with doesn't keep Passover, so who do we follow? No, that's not a question. You have to keep Passover Jewishly. That's a rule. So it's not like, who do we listen to? We eat wheat on Pesach or do not eat wheat on Pesach? No, you don't. Nobody does. Not like a conservative, Orthodox, who do we listen to? No. Not really an option. But if it's something like quinoa, which is not a halachic issue, because once more for the folks in the back, quinoa cannot chametz up your plates, your pots, your pans, your silverware. So even if you get quinoa on them, it's not, oh God, now I have to smash all the dishes. No, you don't. You're fine. So the issue is, it's a custom. So whose custom do we follow in our house when it comes to non-halakhic issues like this? So not an issue of like, this is something everybody has to do, but these are customs, they're shades of gray. Either everybody can just, you do you. You eat quinoa, you don't eat quinoa, it's fine. Do, don't, doesn't really matter. Do whatever you want. Or I would say shalom bayit is an overriding principle in this case, in non-halakhic issues like this, like quinoa. Shalom bayit, meaning peace in the home. And it's not just like a frou-frou, like, oh, I just want to make everything nice. No, like shalom bayit is a real rabbinic concept. There's a story of a man who, I don't know for what reason, he was yelling at his wife. Is like old like rabbi's tale, not in the sense of rabbis were telling the story to each other about each other. There's a man yelling at his wife, and he's like, I don't want you to come home until you spat in the rabbi's eye. And this is like, old village and shuttle the old country kind of a thing. And the rabbi was this venerated, great rabbi. And this woman was shocked. She's like, I can't spit in the rabbi's eye. Why would I ever spit in the rabbi's eye? And he's like, I don't want to see you again. So you spat in the rabbi's eye. She goes to the rabbi. She says, my husband, he's threatening me. He's saying like, I have to make my life miserable at home. Our lives are miserable. And he says that I have to spit in your eye, rabbi, but I can't spit in your eye, rabbi. And the rabbi said, it's so interesting. I have an eye infection. And the only thing here to be if a woman spat in my eye. And she was aghast. And he's like, no, I really need you to spit in my eye. So she spits in his eye, in the rabbi's eye. And she goes home and she tells her husband, he's like, okay, fine. We can live fine, like in peace together. And it's kind of like a weird story. It's kind of a gross story. But I think the point is that the rabbis were saying, look, even the greatest rabbi among us will debase himself for shalom bayit, for peace in the home, in someone else's house. That is how strong the precept of shalom bayit is. It is a real, legitimate, and very strongly held concept in Judaism. So if in your house, one person eats quinoa and one person doesn't eat quinoa, which is not a halakhic issue. I'm not talking about eating wheat, oats, whatever. Make the decision that brings shalom to your bayit, that brings peace into your home when it comes to quinoa. That's the most important thing. New question. Gebrochts. What is gebrochts? How do you pronounce it? Well, clearly gebrochts is a Yiddish word because it can only be Yiddish sounding like that. Gebrochts. Gebrochts means broken. Kind of sounds like it too. Gebrochts, broken. I don't speak Yiddish. I just know gebrochts. There's a concept of gebrochts, which is that broken up, like matzah, if you add water to it, there might be, this is a thought, this is a theory, gebrochts is a theory, that if you add water to matzah, so matzah, by the way, it's washed the whole time, and the flour, and it's baked for just a very certain amount of time. We know if it goes over that amount, it might be leavened, so it has to sit under 18 minutes. 18, ooh, shoot. And so everything we eat on Pesach, if it's going to be made from the 5 chametzi grains, it has to be in the form of matzah. At least I've started out in the form of matzah. So there is a kind of an anxiety that basically is titled gebrochts, which is that if you add water to matzah, there might be some hidden pockets of stray flour. Like when you make bread and there's usually like a little bit of flour, you're just gonna brush it off, and that looks all pretty. And most of us buy our bread in the store, but if you actually made bread or bought fresh, real bread, there's usually a little bit of flour, from the flour, the pans. So there's a thought that if you add any kind of liquid to matzah, then it might trigger that flour and it might leaven past those 18 minutes, and that will make the whole thing chametz. So you basically accidentally create chametz. So there are people who will not add liquid to matzah. This means that you can't make matzo balls, for example, because you would have matzah crushed up and you'd add liquid to it and they could become chametz. No matzah meal cake. So I see a lot of potato starch in the store because it's a way to bake that's also quinoa free. Though there are some people who think or thought at some point that potatoes were quinoa. What would you do then? Starve. As we see a lot of almond flour in the store as well, because almonds are a tree nut, unlike peanuts, which can get their own classification. Tree nuts are usually just fine. So almond flour, which you can bake with, and potato starch, which you can bake with, and not have to worry about gebrots. You also will see packaging for baked goods, like if you buy, Pesach cookies and Pesach cake and manda bread and whatever. If it's non-gebrots, it'll be like a little stamp next to the, this is kosher stamp, this is kosher Pesach. It would be another stamp that says non-gebrots. And you know that it was not made from matzah meal or matzah in any form, because they would have had to add water to make it into a baked product. It's a stringency. It is quite strict. I don't think I've ever seen it among non-Orthodox, and even among Orthodox, like there are plenty of Orthodox who do eat gebrots. So also, this year, like, whether or not you eat gebrots. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. It's really an issue if you're going to someone else's house and you're supposed to bring dessert. You'd want to find out ahead of time if they eat gebrots or if they don't eat gebrots, because that'll affect what you can make and what you can buy. This year, it's probably not effective because you shouldn't be going to other people's houses anyway. So that's gebrots. It's also just a fun word to say. You should say it, gebrots. And if I'm mispronouncing it because I don't speak Yiddish, just let me know and I'll work on it for next year. I plan on eating gebrots because I'm not concerned with that. And now we got a question about, this one. I'm prepared for this one. Trader Joe's sells a quinoa brown rice pasta. Can I eat it if I eat quinoa? The answer is absolutely you can eat it. I would really highly recommend you buy it before Pesach, because as we talked about way back in our first episode, the Batel B'Shishim, the concept that chametz, remember you can't own chametz. And so we had this concept of Batel B'Shishim, meaning like nullified in the 60th, so that if you've got like a tiny little minuscule accidental amount of chametz in food that, like the frozen broccoli example, or if you buy, brown rice quinoa pasta, and in the flour, a piece of tiny grain of flour flew across the factory and landed in your pasta that is made with quinoa, that if you buy it before Pesach, as soon as Pesach hits, but you already own that pasta, then it becomes nullified and it's gone. But all that pasta that's still on the shelf that is not owned by, you, like a Jew, then it does not become nullified. And then if you bought that pasta when it was already Pesach, you'd be buying possibly chametzi pasta, even though it was like a gluten-free pasta that was only brown rice and quinoa. So the answer is yes. You really should buy it before Pesach. Also, knowing this year is a little bit crazy, there'll be some wiggle room in there. And there's also so much more now, which is just like amazing. Like, for example, it's not the Trader Joe's. I actually thought I had Trader Joe's and I was going to show it off, but it's not. But this is a kind of example. Like especially if you have kids, or if you just miss your dang pasta, we've got, this is Ancient Harvest corn. I don't know if you can see what you can see. Corn and quinoa pasta. And it is literally quinoa pasta. Oh God, I can't see. No. Well, you'll have to take my word for it. Organic corn and organic quinoa. It doesn't have to be organic, but so yes, I owned this before and I could easily eat this on Pesach. Now, for the record, my husband doesn't believe that if it's something you wouldn't eat normally, why would you eat it on Pesach? So he won't eat this anyway. So it's kind of a moot point in my house, but yes, you could have and it only says it's star K, so it's definitely kosher. It's gluten-free, and we know from the ingredients that it also has not come into contact with anything. So you have to say they have trace amounts, which would also be nullified if you bought it before. So this kind of pasta, totally kosher Pesach. if you eat quinoa. Almond flour, great to bake with. Gluten-free, it is literally almonds. That's all that's there. This is a good old HEB brand. And this you could totally have on Pesach. It's not hechshered, but it is kosher on Pesach if you need almond flour. It's a good option. And let me show you this fun fact right here. Speaking of, I went through my pantry already because, Pesach. Look at these bad boys right here. Hershey's milk chocolate chips. Huh. Let's see. Is there a hechsher on here? Is there kosher on Passover? No, there is not. We do have. It's very hard to see, I imagine. Oh, can you see the OUD? They're kosher. They are kosher dairy, but they're not kosher from Passover unless you eat meat. In which case, you don't have to worry about getting those super expensive keep-me-out-free kosher Pesach stamps. You can buy the Hershey's brand milk chocolate chips. You're fine. Cocoa powder, no stamps. I just want to show you an example of these are things that are kosher on Passover that you probably already have in your house, and you can certainly find them. And you don't have to worry about having kosher Pesach stamps. It's OU. It contains literally just cocoa powder. You check your Sephardi lists, you're gonna see good old cocoa powder on there. You're gonna see Hershey's milk chocolate chips on there. They are kosher to use on Pesach if you eat meat. And I really hope that it helps. You have a somewhat normal feeling Pesach. You can have your pasta, you can have your cookies, you can have lots of stuff. Not saying you need to eat chametz, you should not eat chametz. And there is, short of starvation, which of course is the only time you can eat chametz. There's no need to eat chametz on Pesach. And there's actually a lot of doors open to us that fall perfectly within Jewish tradition, perfectly within halacha, that are keeping Pesach and also adapting for all the time, frankly, for our Sephardi friends. This is in reality all the time. And if you don't generally eat quinoa, this is a good time to try it if you would like that latitude. And so I hope this has been an informative Lunch and Learn series. I hope I helped you to make your Pesach a little bit more doable, both in terms of what your Seder is going to look like and how you're going to make your Seder happen and how you're going to make kosher Pesach happen this year, that there's a lot of wiggle room that is completely within the bounds of halacha and Jewish law and Jewish tradition, but that there's a lot of wiggle room and there's a lot of latitude to make decisions based on what is available and what your life actually looks like. And if you have any questions between now and Pesach begins, please let me know. And I'll do my best to answer them. And if you don't have anywhere to go for the first night Seder, you can join Rabbi Morgan and his family at 6:30 on Zoom. Go to our website to register. If you have a family with kids and you want to join my family and my kid for our Seder, it's going to be at 5 p.m. on the second night. 5 p.m. second night. You can get all that information and the special Haggadah that I made just for us. That's also on our website. And I hope to see you then. Have a Chag Sameach, have a wonderful holiday and a wonderful Pesach. And I will see you on